Once upon a time, in a quiet village, nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a humble shoemaker. He was a kind man, always smiling, with warm eyes and gentle hands that had known the art of shoemaking since he was a young boy. His shop was small, with wooden shelves lined with well-worn tools and pieces of soft leather in many colors, deep browns, warm tans, and the occasional splash of red or green. Though the shoemaker worked with care and love, times were difficult. Fewer people could afford finely crafted shoes, and the old man found himself with barely enough money to buy food. Each day, he hoped for a customer to walk through his door, yet most days passed in silence, broken only by the ticking of the small clock on the shelf and the occasional chirping of birds outside his window. He lived with his dear wife in a modest cottage at the edge of the village. She was gentle and soft-spoken, always by his side, helping where she could, cutting thread, polishing shoes, and preparing warm meals. They had little, but they cherished each other and found joy in the smallest things. A cup of hot tea on a cold day, the sound of rain on the roof, or the way the light filtered through the window in the early morning. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills and the sky turned a delicate shade of pink and lavender, the shoemaker sat at his workbench with the very last piece of leather he owned. It was just enough to make a single pair of shoes. With careful precision, he cut the leather into pieces, placing them neatly on the table. His plan was to rise early in the morning and finish the shoes. He sighed softly, glancing at his wife. "This is all we have left," he said quietly. "If these shoes do not sell, I do not know what will become of us." His wife smiled gently and touched his hand. "Do not worry," she said in a soothing voice. "You have done your best, and that is all anyone can ask." That night, the couple went to bed early, the room filled with the gentle scent of lavender from the small satchel hanging by the window. The moonlight fell across the workbench, illuminating the small pieces of leather like puzzle pieces waiting to be joined. The house was silent, sound on the wooden floor. They were elves, gentle, mysterious, and full of wonder. The elves clambered onto the workbench and examined the pieces of leather. With knowing smiles, they began to work. Their fingers moved quickly and skillfully stitching, shaping, and polishing. They worked in perfect harmony, barely speaking, yet understanding each other perfectly. The night passed in peaceful silence, and by the time the first rays of morning sunlight touched the windowsill, the shoes were complete. They were exquisite, perfect in every detail, from the careful stitching to the fine laces and smooth, gleaming leather. When the shoemaker awoke and went to his bench, he could hardly believe his eyes. "My stars," he whispered. "Who could have done this?" His wife came in, rubbing her eyes. "What is it?" "Look," he said, pointing to the shoes. She gasped softly. "They are beautiful." That very morning, a wealthy gentleman happened to walk by the shop. He saw the shoes through the window and was so taken by their craftsmanship that he bought them at once, paying more than the shoemaker had ever received for a pair of shoes. With the money, the shoemaker bought enough leather for 2 more pairs. That night, just as before, he cut the leather and laid the pieces on his workbench. He and his wife went to bed, wondering if the magic would return. And it did. The elves came again, working quietly under the moonlight, and by morning 2 perfect pairs of shoes sat on a